Hello, welcome back to Flash Film Reviews. I am your host, Riley.
And I'm Nick. Wait, no, that's the wrong way around.
Wrong way around, sorry.
Episode ends.
See you next week.
See you next week. Fuck.
I'm Jordan Peterson. Welcome back to the Jordan Peterson podcast.
Welcome back to the Jordan Peterson podcast. Gonna talk about Kermit the Frog today.
Committed suicide.
I'm actually Kermit the Frog.
What?
Talking about depression.
Oh, it's so funny. Sorry.
Why are you laughing?
I don't
Why are
know.
you laughing at me? Don't laugh.
Kind of funny.
Don't laugh. It's serious.
Damn it. So we watched The Evil Dead 3,
Army of Darkness.
again directed by Sam Raimi
Yeah.
and written by his brother, actually. I didn't realize that. His brother.
And Sam Raimi. They both
And
wrote
Sam Raimi. Yeah. It was a collaboration.
They're both
family.
the most talented scribes to ever grace this planet. This movie is a fever dream's fever dream.
Inside another
Times
fever dream.
11.
It seriously is.
I thought Evil Dead 2 was crazier. This one is 10 times more insane.
yeah. I don't know how they keep on. It just keeps on one-upping itself. Like the one thing, well, not the one thing, but it's just completely different. It's like, you go from the first setting, cabin in the woods movie, horror movie, and now you're in like a comedic.
This one's just
period
a hard comedy.
piece.
A hard comedy fantasy movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Period fantasy comedy. There's no element of horror at all.
Except for maybe like the skeletons and
Oh yeah,
and
terrifying.
the army. But that's I was shivering in my boots.
Quaking.
But it's actually amazing that it like the second one, you can't really comprehend what you just watched after you watched it.
I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, man, is that just a dream? Is that real?
Did that movie exist?
I'm so glad that this movie exists.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a ride. But you had a funny idea when we're watching it, like just show someone who hasn't seen anything to do with the Evil Dead,
Don't
even
know
the first
anything
two
about
movies.
it. Just be like, oh yeah, let's put on this this movie. You'll love it.
Yeah. And then being like, what the fuck is going on? Even for us, like we obviously, we watched the first two. It's still same effect. Like, what the fuck is going on? This is amazing. I'm going to begin the plot summary and see how far I can get without, I'm going to forget everything. But we start straight back into the
End of Evil Dead 2, yeah. Well, sort of. It sort of doesn't really. It comes back to in like 3 minutes.
We thought they were going to redo it again, which would have been hilarious, but they kind of recap
They
it.
still recast Linda, his girlfriend.
There's another Linda. There's a third or fourth.
Third Linda. Unfortunately, we don't see her get her head knocked off by a shovel for the third time.
You can only get so much,
Yeah, they recap the first and second movie, and then he gets sucked into a portal, and then it's basically the end of Evil Dead 2. And then he's like a slave.
Yeah.
Immediately gets enslaved, shit happens.
He gets blamed that he's part of whatever his name was, Henry's conquest or something.
Henry the Red.
Henry the Red versus other blue army.
I think that's his name.
Actually, it's Henry the Red.
Henry the Red? I think
Yeah,
it
that
might be
sounds
Henry
right.
the Red.
So he's enslaved, and they're like, "Oh, why'd you attack us? There's a new girlfriend called what's her name?
Sheila.
Sheila, not Linda. Disappointing, but her name's Sheila.
Good old feudal Sheila. Sheila,
honey. She's in the movie. She's the love interest, and she thinks that.
She at the beginning, she
immediately thinks that Ash like killed her brother, was involved.
killed her brother or something, as you do, even though like she has no reason to really believe that.
Yeah. It's like all these. There's the Henry the Red's army, which are all in red, attire and armor, and then there's just Ash, who's completely different, and then they're all
clothes.
fucking throwing shit at Ash, blaming him like, go to hell.
And then he gets thrown into a pit, as you do. I mean, a guy before him gets thrown into the pit, and he just turns into a giant water spout of fake blood, as it happens.
Fucking explodes.
But Ash falls in the pit, and he doesn't get turned into a water spout. He just has to fight a deadite, which is what they're called now.
Yeah.
And
just get into a punching match.
And this old wizard dude throws down his chainsaw and it lands perfectly on his hand.
Yeah.
Brilliant
Moment. It like clicks into place as well, like like it's some mechanism, and then he chops him up, and the opposing fucking castle, the citizens inside there, they hate him, and then when he starts winning, they start cheering for him instead. Like, yeah.
I think it's so funny that this movie doesn't really have a plot until like halfway through. It's sort of just like, it has just bits. You got the bit at the beginning, and then you got the bit where he's looking for the Necronomicon, and you got the bit where Evil Ash tries to take over the castle, because there is an evil Ash. He has an evil clone in this movie because, he's got to have an evil clone. How the evil clone comes about is potentially one of the wildest things in cinema.
Yeah, it's so after what we just described of the pit, then he needs to go on a quest for the Necronomicon, like Nick said, and then he's like running away from the floating POV monster, and he finds his way into like a windmill, and then he freaks out and runs into like a mirror
because he doesn't want to be attacked by his own reflection again, and then he splits the mirror into like smaller mirrors, and then a bunch of little ashes pop out of the mirror.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. It's like that movie with Jack Black and the like miniature people. It's like that kind of thing.
Literally, they like strap him down. I mean, not before like poking him in the bum with a fork.
Yeah. Yeah. It's this whole.
It's like Looney Tunes. It's like a Looney Tunes section. I mean, there's a bit where he's like, there's like the floor's like oiled slick, and it's like, it's got like the goofy sound effects where he's like,
yeah,
it's like a cartoon segment. It's amazing. It's the wildest thing I've ever seen.
So they strap him down, and then one of them does like a fucking Olympic dive into his mouth. And then he's like, he swallows it, and he's fucking.
Imagine waking up to having a smaller version of yourself do an Olympic dive into your mouth.
What the fuck? Not even LSD could do that to someone, I think. It's so crazy.
I can't even make any jokes just because it's already so crazy.
Yeah, you can't add anything onto it. Like, it's literally what happens in the movie.
He washes his meal down with a nice pot of boiling water because that helps. Yeah,
that helps him,
and that of course turns into him splitting into two people because that he grows a second body, and then they turn into two Ashes, and there's good Ash and evil Ash. Mm-hmm. But evil Ash, he ain't that good.
he ain't really that good.
I mean, it depends on the version of the film that you see. Apparently, there's multiple versions.
Yeah, we discovered that afterwards. To jump topics, it was like finish the film, and then Nick saw something online about there being an alternative ending.
Yeah,
and apparently, depending on what region you watch it, UK or US, you get a different ending.
You get a different ending. We got the ending where he gets stuck in the future. But I much preferred to see the other ending because we watched it on YouTube and that was great.
That ending was sick. We'll go into that ending in a bit, I guess. But like you said before, it's the evil version of him who wants to get the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon or whatever.
Yeah, not before being horrifically deformed and shoved into a grave. And then of course Ash gets the book. Gets the book, says the words wrong. And then,
That's right.
summons a bunch of skelly bros
That's right at the start. Like the
Getting
wise
sucked
man.
into a book has like a why the long face. It's got like
What? I forgot about that. What the fuck? There's like 3 books he has to choose and choose the right
of
one,
them
and then
bites
one
his hand, one of them sucks him into the book and like stretches his face.
face, like literally like it's got a long face. And then the third one is just the real one, and he forgets the words that he had to memorize to quench the evil, to destroy the evil.
I mean, I feel him. You know, I can't even memorize quotes for essays and stuff. They always like, oh yeah, memorize all these passages. Like, oh yeah, I got it. And then you get into the exam room, and it's just like, oh shit.
fuck me.
This person might have said this thing. I don't know, but this means that.
Exactly. As long as you're confident and you put on your quotation marks, then
you just get it back. Like, this is not right.
Yeah, he didn't say that.
Yes. Why did you quote Charles Darwin as saying, "I like a Big Mac and fries"?
Just gave up on the exam completely.
I said this before, I think, in the last episode, but Bruce Campbell, the actor for Ash, deserves a jillion awards for his role.
His roles.
Roles.
Like so many
Ash,
roles.
Evil Ash, mini Ashes.
True. He's done so much. But honestly, he's so expressive, and I think everyone loves him because he's just so, I don't know, he's got a charisma.
He's got like a sort of Jim Carrey quality.
Yeah, he does, right?
He's got like that physical comedy sort of thing. I mean, like a lot of the scenes are just him by himself acting with himself. And, you know, even in Evil Dead 2, he did that and it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extremely cheesy, but it works so well because it's just funny.
It's fun, yeah. And it's impressive that he can just carry the whole thing by himself, basically.
He's incredibly fun to watch. It's fantastic.
It's so good. How would you rate, if you had to stack them against each other, like which one do you like better? I'm guessing Evil Dead 2 and this one.
Yeah,
Evil
Dead 2 is better than this one, right? And I think Evil Dead 1 was a good movie, but I don't even know how to think about this movie because I don't. This movie feels like intentionally so bad it's good, so I have to like judge it like that. But I just had a really good time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They're all good. Although this movie is just so different from the other ones that it's hard to compare them against each other. I mean, this movie is absolutely nothing like 2 and 1.
It's just basically Ash and the Chainsaw.
Completely different genre.
Yeah. They do that, but it's it's just sort of they break all the rules in the best way. I think the second one I was more into, and this one, of course, I have the same thoughts that it was enjoyable and just crazy. But I was maybe I don't want to say this might be this. I might regret saying this, but maybe it's even too like just the whole first half of the movie was maybe like even too much for me to comprehend. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Too much.
It's too much. I think I need to watch it again to appreciate it.
And then it becomes, it's like the whole first half of the movie is like really dumb random shenanigans, and then it turns into like a fantasy battle drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Lord of the Rings who?
Lord of the Rings what?
This battle puts Lord of the Rings to shame.
This
does. Is the greatest battle scene of all time. It's like reject shop skeleton army.
Yeah. So many skeletons in this movie, and like Nick said, they all look like they're sheep from the reject shop.
You can see the plastic.
Yeah, you can. And sometimes when like he's fighting, like sometimes they'll switch from stop motion, like a stop motion effect, then to like maybe I don't know,
a guy holding the spine and just like wiggling it around.
Yeah, wiggling around, or even people. Yeah, exactly.
In prosthetics.
Prosthetics. They do everything. So it's impressive, but then sometimes there's a goofy scene where it's literally just like the
Literally
fucking
just
skeleton.
like a skeleton stood up, like not doing anything, obviously, because it's not a fucking real thing.
It's not rigged up into anything yet.
And it just gets
kinda
run
stands
over or something. And then cut in half.
It looks so funny. And also the scene where evil Ash, summons the dead again, and then they all kind of come out for some reason, just like they're
just
taking all
hanging
these
about.
naked girls. Yeah, they're hanging out, and the naked
Yeah, where
girls
did they
just
get
come out
them
of
from?
nowhere.
What the hell?
It's like, okay.
They were just hanging about in the cemetery, as you do.
Yeah. The boys hang out in the cemetery.
I mean,
Getting
where did that flying
chicks.
demon go? Jonathan
Jonathan,
Jacobo from
Jacob.
Scooby-Doo 2, this pterodactyl monster.
He came
He
out.
flies in, takes Sheila, disappears forever.
He's just not, he doesn't. I mean,
Maybe
would
he does
bypass-
come back and gets killed, but I've forgotten. Yeah, I mean, after Ash says the words wrong, and then, evil Ash comes back from the dead for the second time. He turns into an evil Dark Lord. He gets all like, he
Munted
gets
face.
even more handsome.
Even more handsome, yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
But then, they sort of just hang out with like a bunch of skeletons in this cemetery. And then they march towards the castle, and they've got like a bunch of skeletons playing like flutes and stuff.
I forgot. So wacky. They're munching.
And
They've got
there's
like a
this-
marching bed.
There's a scene where evil Ash wants to, he asks for a mirror so he can look at his own reflection.
He like throws it away because he's too ugly.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, I don't know. And like the possession in this movie doesn't really work like it does in the other movies.
No, that's true. It completely changes again.
Who cares? I mean, it does. It's clearly not following its own rules at this point.
Yeah, I think it's
Like
established that the
Sheila,
rules
she gets
are
like
there.
possessed, but she's still like herself, just evil. She's not like a different entity. She's just herself, but what like a bad guy.
Yeah, and this just becomes herself again afterwards again.
She's just like, man,
goes
it's
back
good to be
normal."
bad. Classic.
Yeah, true. It's good to be bad. Oh, and the one-liners are even better, or just even more of them. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Shop smart. Shop S smart.
He's like,
This
he's the
is
prophet.
my boomstick. $109.95 at S-Mart. Shop smart. Shop S-Mart. Well, that's a paraphrased version.
He goes into detail about like the specifications of the shotgun.
And it's infinite bullets. He never runs out of ammo. And he just suddenly gains the ability to create new ammo. Despite the fact, where'd they get the gunpowder from? They didn't have gunpowder. Oh, I mean, he gets a robot hand as well. He
gets a robot hand.
Good old feudal England robot hands.
robotics. They're known for their advanced robotics. And literally the sound effects as well.
Yeah.
It's like making like a like actual electronic sound. You're like, okay.
Maybe Ash is just
That's
secretly
amazing.
some super genius. I mean, he creates like a war machine from some
Yeah.
chemistry textbooks that he has in the back of his car. And this man works at an S-Mart,
He should be promoted to manager, is all I can say.
He should be promoted to the king, baby.
The king of S-Mart. The movie's finished after the army's defeated, and there's the ending. And the better ending is
Well, he goes back to his own time and he's telling his co-worker about his exploits, and he doesn't believe him. And then, this Karen at the S-Mart turns into a
obsessed.
No, she's just a normal Karen.
Pretty accurate to what Karens are like, actually.
Yeah, and he gets a shotgun that has infinite ammo again, and he shoots like 50 bullets at the thing.
Yeah.
And he gets a new girlfriend, obviously, and he's like, "Hail to the king, baby!" And that's the movie. the ending that was in the version we watched, which is like the ending I don't like so much. I mean, it was pretty silly, but it doesn't work so well as its own ending. I think it's where he has too much of this like serum that makes him go to the future, and he goes too far into the future, and he goes outside and he's like, no.
It's like this dystopian future. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I mean, and they didn't make a fourth one or anything, so that ending is kind of just like redundant, you know.
But I love the part before that when he's getting the serum right. Like he has this, he puts in drops in his mouth and he has to put in exactly 6. So he goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He gets distracted and hears a sound, and then he goes
5, 6,
5, 6, and does 5 twice. But who would have guessed 100 years into the future?
This is the man who can recreate modern day engineering in feudal England off some textbooks. Ash Williams in the Multiverse of Madness.
There pretty much is a multiverse, right? You told me there was apparently a Marvel comic, which crossed over with, or was the other way around?
Over with an Evil Dead comic. It was Marvel Zombies. It was like an alternate Marvel universe where everyone turns into zombies, and that crossed over with Evil Dead, like an Evil Dead comic series.
Yeah.
And the Marvel Zombies is canon to that Evil Dead series. Like it's not like out of continuity.
No. There's actually a fucking game for the film. I think based on this third movie, I'm pretty sure, was it? Or
no, it's sort of like about the whole series. I mean, I saw like things from the TV show that they made, Ash vs Evil Dead. I saw stuff from like the first one. I saw Scotty from the first one. I think Scotty's a character.
Fuck yeah.
Stuff from the second one. Yeah, I think it's just like a homage to the whole series, I think.
There's so much content. I didn't realize this universe has so much content.
Pretty big franchise. Don't know if it can top the romance in this movie. What a segue.
Wow.
Ash's romance with Sheila. It's
was amazing.
touching. You know, she goes into his room. And
Brings him a blanket.
Just gives him a blanket. And then he's like, what do I need this for? Go away. Yeah. And then she slaps him and he's like, immediately, that's his turn on. He immediately goes up to her and is like, in the face. Give me some sugar, baby.
And then makes out. And then they do it in front of the fire.
They do the dirty. Man, doing the dirty in feudal England, I cannot imagine the aftermath in Ash's crotchal region.
Yeah, some
guy must have had some very itchy consequences down there.
Itchy consequences. Yeah, it's funny romance. And then at the end, he kind of just like dips. She's like,
it's just like, I gotta go to the future.
I'm going.
Okay, goodbye. Then he goes to the future and immediately gets another girlfriend.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah.
What about the part where he resurrects the skeletons and the one shoots the arm into his mouth?
Yeah, that's right. And he's like, "Oh, get your filthy bone out of your mouth, out of my mouth." And then it's like, yeah,
and I was like, you should have said, get your boner out of my mouth.
Get your boner. Maybe he's taking a bit of a different direction. And also back to the 3 books part when he's trying to recite like the words. It's like, I don't know, it's like Uga, Black Death, and then there's an N word starting with N. He's like, what's the N word? Yeah.
It's an N word. Like,
I think he was alluding to the actual N word a little bit.
No, Ash, you can't say that.
Don't say the N word. We're gonna cancel you.
Yeah, and he just coughs. The demon's like, Ash, that's racist. You can't say that.
Take it back. That's right. Yeah.
Take it back, Ash.
We're gonna cancel you on Twitter, Ash.
The choreography in the final fight, it's just awe-inspiring. Yeah. You know, Ash somehow teaches these people how to do these karate moves, and they use the karate moves against the skeletons.
Yeah. With like a stick, right? With like a spear.
Like, and like the sword battles are just like flailing around, just with like each sword in hands, just like do 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 do.
Just whacking them around. Yeah. Ding dong. And there's a bit where he's
It's
versing the
amazing.
evil version of himself, and they're both dual wielding swords at the same time, just dunk,
Both
dunk,
dual
dunk, dunk,
swords.
just swinging it around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He kills his evil self by catapulting catapulting him on an explosive catapult, and he blows up.
It blows up in the
Possibly
sky.
the greatest villain death of all time. I
That
just
is
think it's a
crazy.
miracle that this movie was made in the first place. Like, some studio executive didn't look at this movie and go, "What the hell are you making?"
Yeah.
Because they're boring as hell half the time.
Yeah.
You know that. I just think it's wild that this movie exists. I just like how it turned from like trying to be a horror movie, and then in the second one it's like there's some horror, but then it's comedy, and then the third one is just comedy, action, fantasy, whatever.
Yeah.
Such a crazy development.
This whole series is just a breath of fresh air if you've, I don't know, if you're used to watching the same.
Yeah, I mean, I
Content
can't
you've
believe I
got.
haven't watched these movies before. Next week we've got the grim and gritty dark reboot of the first movie. Apparently it's alright, so hopefully it's pretty good. If you're listening on Spotify, follow us on YouTube and TikTok. Our TikTok is at @FFR_podcast. And if you're on YouTube, follow us on Spotify.
Thanks for listening.
See you next week.